October 7th, 2023. Israelis woke up to the sound of air raid sirens and rockets in the air. Hamas militants stormed the border, killing just under 1,200 Israelis, most of them innocent civilians. They also took hundreds of hostages, including men, women, and children, many of them still being held today. Just before noon, local time, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the nation, saying we are at war. The response from Israel was swift, launching a barrage of airstrikes into Gaza and starting a total blockade, cutting off electricity, food, and fuel. Just a week and a half later, President Joe Biden arrives in Israel, sharing an emotional hug with the longtime leader.
While you feel that rage, don't be consumed by it.
In late October, Israel launched a fierce ground assault into Gaza, targeting Hamas strongholds. Palestinians in northern Gaza were forced to flee south to get away from the fighting as the humanitarian crisis got worse.
Far too many Palestinians have been killed. Far too many have suffered.
In late November, Israel and Hamas agreed to what would become a 7-day ceasefire, agreeing to exchange Palestinian prisoners for the release of dozens of hostages, leading to emotional reunions like this one, where 9-year-old Emily Hand was released back to her family and into the arms of her father.
She's presumed everyone's kidnapped or killed or slaughtered, or she had no idea.
But this break would be short-lived. By December 1st, the fighting continued in Gaza. By May, the Israeli offensive shifted to the southern border city of Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinians were sheltering. After a year of war, the Gaza Health Ministry says more than 40,000 Palestinians have been killed. The longer the conflict goes on, the more protests we've seen in Israel, as many hostage families have called for an end to the war to bring their loved ones home. And in the U.S., the war sparked protests and encampments on college campuses, leading to hundreds of arrests. And while the main focus of this war has been on Gaza and Hamas, Israel has long been battling with other Iran-backed militant groups, including in Lebanon, where they've been trading rocket fire with Hezbollah since the very beginning of this war. This conflict with Hezbollah escalating last month when Israel exploded thousands of pagers and other communications devices belonging to Hezbollah members before launching thousands of airstrikes in Lebanon, including one which killed Hezbollah's leader. This killing prompting Iran to respond with a barrage of missiles just last week.
I think it's safe to assume that this is not going to be over anytime soon.
Guy Ziv, a professor of international relations at American University, says there's now growing concern that Israel and Iran could be on a collision course for direct conflict.
It's always been a shadow war, right? But what we've seen just in the last couple of weeks alone is that Israel has significantly degraded the capabilities of Iran's proxies.
A year of war since the October 7th attack. A day that changed the course of history in Israel and across the globe. In Washington, I'm Koslof, Spectrum News.